watch your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. If you come around just to play me, don't bother, cause you're way overdue. Don't even try to convince me. Don't bother, cause now I see you through. If you come around just to play me, don't bother, cause you're way overdue. Don't even try to convince me. Don't bother, cause now I see you through. Every now and then I think what we had was something real. Don't know why.
Welcome back, everyone, to the VCT Game Changers Academy, sponsored by Verizon and AIM Labs. I'm here with a new set of faces. They don't look the same, of course. It's Epitomes and Baby Bear. Baby Bear. Yeah, okay, well, Becky
Ew.
Bear. I don't know why I said Baby Bear, but hello, Becky. I'm so sorry.
You're okay.
You know, give her a couple follows for my mistake. She deserves it. She's also very cute. So, anyways, but continuing along. So the last game, we did in fact see, I believe it was Revive Me Jet versus Tactical Throwers. And Tactical Throwers, they had a really good run. It was 2 out of 1. Of course, we went to that last map of Ascent and they ended up dominating. But we got to continue on to Randos versus Tactical Throwers and Epitome. Randos is a pretty big team right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've got they took a map off of Dart Monkeys, who, as we know, were the only unsigned team to make it into the playoffs bracket of Game Changers. And now in Game Changers Academy, they've been pretty dominant in the last few months, but also Randos were able to take a map off of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Becky, I mean, you're familiar with Randos as well. You know, you didn't see some of their games, but there was a lot of talk yesterday, on broadcast about the amount of impact that they had.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that, like, we talked about it when we first started yesterday. We were like, what are the teams to watch? Well, Dart Monkeys is a big team to watch. They went undefeated in the last VCT Academy. They did really well in a bunch of other tournaments as well, as we just mentioned. And then on top of that, just being able to lose a game to, to Randos? To a team with a name like Randos, and you're just like, well, okay. And that was in the first round too. So the moment that happened, you knew, okay, we've got to be watching this Randos squad. And they did go 3-0 in the group stage yesterday in that round robin. So, if there's a team who is continuing to go undefeated, that's certainly a team to watch, especially Tactical Throwers did go 2-1, did have a 3-game series in that last one. So it's definitely kind of a disparity as far as win-loss ratios are going for these two teams. And Randos, I mean, if they continue to put up the numbers that they're going with and had that great of a game against Dart Monkeys of all teams, I think that they're definitely going to be the team that, at least based on numbers, is a little bit favored in this situation.
And it's going to be scary as well, right? Some members of Polaris was a dominant team. Still, they're in the air even after so long of disbanding. And now every time we see them within a roster, we're like, oh no, this is pretty dangerous, because of course they're such a strong team. But we have to digress. We continue on to map picks and bans as we go over to that graphic Epitome. The maps that we're going to see here. Looking on this, I mean, pretty basic.
Yeah, first of all, we've got Haven and Tactical Throwers. That is their map pick. Randos, of course, picking the attack side. And Haven being an attack-sided map, that's not something that you're really surprised to see. But Tactical Throwers, they did have a a relatively strong Haven when we saw them playing in that last matchup against Revive Me Jet. So Randos, they're trying to give themselves an early advantage as they get onto this map. And they start off on the attack, so they have that side that just favors them. But map 2, on the other hand, Randos are going to pick Bind, and Tactical Throwers actually picking attack. Bind, typically known as a defender-sided map, but Tactical Throwers, they probably have some strats cooking up to go onto that attack side. So that's going to be our map 2, and with the bans of Fracture and Ascent. Randos, that's a really good ban from them since Ascent was very strong by tackle throwers in the last series as well. The remaining map is going to be Breeze.
Okay, yeah, but if we, I'm so sorry for interrupting you.
No,
Becky.
you're okay. You're okay.
you can continue on with your thought.
Oh, I was gonna say that it's weird that like the two maps that kind of ended up being the picks for these teams was Breeze as the final one, and Tactical Throwers kind of had the choice between like Breeze ending up being the final one that they have to pick. That's technically their map picked, but not really because it's just the only one left over. Is got to feel a little bit rough and probably good for the side of Randos as well because they just watched Tactical Throwers get pretty beat up on Breeze. So they've got to be feeling pretty good about how these three maps have gotten to shake up here.
Yeah, and it really will all just depend. The fact that Randos is doing so good is also a factor in what we think is going to happen within these games. So I'm a little bit scared. I don't know about you guys, coming into this game for Tactical Throwers, just based off of Randos' history so far. But we will have to go into this agent select in order to see what we are dealing with here. So I'm expecting the pretty basic composition here on Haven, but Becky, as we load in, what is something that you kind of would expect from maybe the team of Tactical Throwers or maybe here as it's locking in?
I'm really hoping that we get to see a Breach and a Neon. It's something that we're starting to see a lot more in pro play. It's something that has a really great combination of just like the same kind of typical, you see something like the Jet with something like the KO, and you just get to play really well together with those two agents. But some other spicy things that we're actually getting to see is Zoe is locking in the Yoru, which is not something that I ever would have even thought to mention, but am excited to see nonetheless. I think that Chamber is a really great pick coming out from Bell. I think that Chamber is just better on this map than Killjoy is. I think that Killjoy ends up being kind of like a crutch pick in a lot of cases for a lot of players. I think a lot of people just like Killjoy, and so they go ahead and pick up something like the Killjoy, but I don't think it personally is very strong on a map like Haven that is so long.
Yeah, I think the Sky Breach that I saw is also a little bit scary. Double the flash is double the fun, right? So that's definitely going to be probably one of the scariest things that we're going to see within this game. But I do have to let you guys go and enjoy the matchup that you're about to see. So I'll let you guys do it.
Thanks so much for leading us into this, Gompers. And to start off, I mean, these are pretty different teams. I feel like throughout this entire series, we've seen a lot of mirror matches. We've seen a lot of one difference in agents. And I think this is kind of the most diverse agent select that we've seen so far in this tournament.
I'm definitely really liking the picks that they've brought out here. I mean, I personally probably am a little bit of a Yoru hater, but I really am excited to see how Tactical Throwers is going to use this Yoru, because even since his rework, Yoru hasn't seen a lot of play anywhere. They've brought him out a few times in pro play, but he just isn't really that popular. But I want to see how they make use of this teleport on such a long map. But before that, they are getting started on the B site, actually just a fake plant onto B and bait out some rotations. But Becky, they're headed towards C site.
What a start off from the side of Randos. We do see Satyr actually drawing first blood here, but Kay will still be able to get onto the site and get that bomb down nonetheless. I mean, just losing that little bit of a lurk is not too bad, and it looks like with that, they're going to actually all try to go and hold this long angle. I think this is a really interesting decision to go ahead for, especially on a pistol round where you're in a situation where trying to get those long-range gunshots to do a lot of damage and stop a defuse is going to be that much more difficult, especially with all of these cloudbursts and these smokes coming down. Ibanez is able to take out Kaya. Kay, though, just gets to go completely ham despite Juna holding it down and winning it for the defenders.
Defenders winning first round, that's pretty rare, but Tactical Throwers, this is their map pick. And, Haven being a tax-sided map, everyone talks about 3 sites, so hard to defend, but Tactical Throwers, they bring it back pretty well here. And it was honestly unexpected because it looked like they had a really good hold, and coming out on top of all the frags was still the side of of randos in terms of frags, but they were able to get the defuse off anyway. So nicely played by them. They get that buy up here. And it was an interesting early round with randos as well, but now they are deep a little bit more, trying to get a little bit of damage. But Seder, she's only able to find one.
Yeah, I mean, looked like was going to be able to pick up that kill onto Lana as well, but unfortunately, two people just a little bit too difficult to get that spray transfer to complete, and Lana is able to make a nice little one-for-one trade there. A little bit hurt and not able to heal up herself, as that Skye just can't quite make that happen, and now Juna trying to get really aggressive here and just hold this angle, make sure that if anyone's going to go and try to push through that smoke, they will get a little bit punished for it, especially that Spectre being just a little bit better at long range, and now knows that there are some large amount of people there. Nice little turn around that corner, gets Lana despite being blinded, and you know, with Yuja also there to help out, just beautifully done despite that blind, and nicely picking up the second round.
Yeah, it was a little bit shaky right at the beginning when they took down Seder. Early, there wasn't really the backup because of the amount of blinds that this attacking side has, actually. Randos having both the Skye and the Breach, that's a very aggressive team composition, and it's not based on a lot of info. Skye can gather a bit with her blinds giving information if they connect, as well as the Trailblazer, but on the Breach's side, he's really got nothing in terms of information. Meanwhile, more defensive comp on the other side, they have that Sova that can really stall out those neutral rounds.
And going right into this next one, Yuja gonna go ahead, take out that little bit of information that could have been gathered from Lana with this Trailblazer, and following it up nicely with Kay, just getting really aggressive. Does get punished by Junifor, but Junifor is able to be traded out by even as there, as well as Seder with a nice headshot on that Sheriff. I mean, completely holding on to kind of a cheaper gun going into this round. We'll be able to pick up something else should that be Seder's choice, but is kind of just deciding to continue to hold on to the Sheriff and just get another aggressive angle, and I like this decision, especially with the rest of the team coming from this defensive side to posture to get ready for this retake. This is one of the harder sites to retake from a defensive standpoint. It's hard to get down onto the site. It's hard to go through this little bit of a choke point, especially with that Breach. Getting that concuss across is going to slow it greatly, as well as even as low HP, but it just does not matter. Able to use that Vandal to the best of their ability and take out 3 kills. Bell to finish off that final one.
Post-plant positioning was really nice here. You saw that Ibanez is only at 2 HP at the end of the last round, but the two positioned under Hell were able to hold on to the post-plant positioning of Defender Spawn very well, just not allowing them through that choke point at all. And like you said, A site is a very hard site to retake, but now looking at this next round with both of these teams having rifles on the board and one ultimate or 2 ultimates on the side of randos, both the Bladestorm as well as the Rolling Thunder, I'm expecting a very quick early round from these two teams, already aggressing up into Garage and trying to push up long with the help of the Bladestorm as well. Sky Smoke's going to try and stall them out, but the Rolling Thunder, that's going to start the initiation.
And I mean, that's a great way to keep people off the site for as long as possible. Bladestorm is out from K and trying to watch a lot of these angles, but the defensive-sided Hunter's Fury is going to stop that plant at least for a bit, holding this final shot before releasing it to make sure that that can stay from being put down as long as possible and get this defensive side in place. But unfortunately, while trying to get in place, Bell will be able to take out 2 before falling to Yuja there. And all of a sudden, Lana trying to get that action right back, but Yuja just getting the better of both of those attacking sided players and keeping it an even 3-3 as Shaka's watching this CT angle, but with 3 people peeking it, it's making it that much more difficult as Yuja picks up K, even as the only player remaining for the attacking side, getting some of those pings about where the bomb is, but able to pick up a 1 through the smoke nonetheless, and taking a little bit of damage from that shock dart there. Junifor is trying to just keep as much damage as possible on it. The bomb is at half, but Yuja is just in an unfortunate position. That bomb is ticking fast, but with that kill, should be able to bring it home.
Really nice retake once again from the side of Tactical Throwers. They've been doing these really nice setups. They try to take control of both of the points where you can get onto the site. They don't go for very risky flanks so their players don't get isolated. And then they usually have more players left alive by the time they need to get that defuse down. And Ibanez played that really well. lurking out into long, spamming the flash points and just spamming down the bomb, having the teammates ping, and she was able to take down quite a few, but at the end of the day, that player advantage comes into play, and then she just didn't have enough bullets in the chamber. Now it seems like they're trying to go for that same kind of push, very fast and aggressive into garage, but this time the spike is postured a little bit further back. So they're trying to play for info, play a default, see how Tactical Throwers reacts to the way that they're playing, but they have complete control of grass. Unfortunately, they don't have control of the A side flank, so Junifor is getting a lot of free information with this owl drone up long.
And I mean, on top of that, just being able to keep the attacking side off of this garage area by utilizing those smokes alongside Killjoy utility, doing a ton of work. Oh, nice peek around that corner from Junifor, that scoped in Bulldog. I mean, enough if you hit those headshots, and beautifully done to just continue to keep this attacking side at bay. About 50 seconds and counting down left on the clock. Satyr gonna go ahead and hide in that jet smoke. The Cloudburst will actually be K's downfall as Junifor picks up 3 and Yuja finishes it off.
It's these late rounds where we see that randos are falling apart a lot more. We commended their post-plant positioning on the A site, but if they don't get onto the site in that really early round, because they are so aggressive and they have the agents that really lend themselves to that. They got the jet, they got the chamber, and the brimstone. They just really favor these fast, aggressive plays. But when they don't have that and the early round falls apart, then the mid to late round calling, that's not as strong, and Tactical Throwers really thrive off of that chaos at the very end. But now, is this a Marshall picked up by Satyr or an operator?
It's a Marshall. It's a Marshall. But I also kind of want to highlight, I mean, I love when you get to see somebody playing an agent that they're so comfortable on that they can predict what somebody else is going to do. We saw the moment that attacking side Cloudburst from K came down, we saw Satyr just go ahead and move right into it, saying, I know you're going to dash into this, and I want to capitalize on getting that kill, and was able to do so. Just the same way that Lana's able to capitalize on a little bit of knowledge into that mid area there, being able to take out somebody who's holding that mid part of the map. Extremely great, but I mean, also Bell caught a little bit off guard there, and Satyr's able to do some double dashes away to safety. Very nicely done there.
Satyr actually cloud bursting the chamber's trap so she could sneak past the trademark, but now Ivana's first point of contact onto that A site, able to take down the sole defender, and now they've actually gotten themselves a player advantage here as they plant the spike down on A. There's nothing that can really deny here, and looking at this, it's a 3v4 on the retake. They seem to be headed on the flank, chamber down, so they've really got no info, but no, it's back towards A-Link.
Yeah, I think luckily for them, they do have this orbital strike that is able to sit really far away from that bomb. They don't have any more smokes to utilize from this brimstone, but they do have that ability should they decide to use it. We're going to go ahead and see that Yoru clone fake at least be a little bit distracting as Satyr picks up 3 kills. The big piece of the puzzle into this as that orbital strike and rolling thunder come out, I believe, and trying to make them all concussed on this defensive side, but they're watching with a great prowess here. Satyr picks up a 4th kill, just doesn't have time to defuse the bomb, but is going to try and take Ibanez with her.
Oh my goodness, Satyr on the board for the ace in that round as well, but 2 ultimates invested into getting a second round on the board for randos. So even though they're only down 2 rounds, that was very expensive. They got the orbital strike. They lost every single life in that engagement as well, so they'd have no guns left over, and they still have money to buy, but the thing is they've got half shields on the board. Belle is taking out the tour de force as well, so she's relying on a big ultimate instead of an actual rifle here, and Shaka can't even buy a rifle. She's got a Spectre instead. Meanwhile, Tactical Throwers, they've still got money to reinvest.
And I mean, that's just how it goes when you're able to string this many wins together. You start to have that economic hold on this game. Now we're going to see Lana with this Trailblazer able to gather a lot of information about the amount of utility that is hanging out towards this garage side, and with that, Killjoy will be kind of put on the back foot as all that utility was pinged out, and now there's just this alarm bot kind of hanging out towards mid B, but with this smoke, it doesn't look like the attacking side are going to be pushing into it anytime soon, but definitely posturing around that area, and Lana now posturing once again to see if we can get some of this early information and potentially actually an early kill towards this B site, as well as that alarm bot catching out K and allowing Yuja to capitalize onto that. Ooh, guiding light does, yeah.
They're getting a little bit into the late round. Oh my god, first person onto the site was a spike carrier, Becky. How does that happen? They're able to trade back, but they're still at a deficit now. Seder tailwinding out, and Belle, she just shot the Yoru clone, and now it's all left up to her. Spike's down on the site. She's picked up the rifle, but I don't know how much she can do here.
Yeah, this is a rough situation. You know that Yoru is hanging out towards that area because of that Yoru clone, but you have to imagine with 3 members of the defense still in play that they're gonna be watching this spike, and Seder certainly is, and finishes off that final kill.
That was an incredibly tough round because it was starting to get to the mid round and they were getting antsy. This time was ticking down, and Lana, she was the first one into the site, but she was also the spike carrier, and there's no way that should have happened because Belle, I mean, she is the chamber here, and usually chambers are not relegated to the person who is carrying the spike, but at the same time, you have someone like Sky, who is basically a pseudo-duelist in this composition, and she's also the first one in the site after you lose your jet, and it was just such a messy take. But now headed on to this C site, Zoe's able to actually escape that with the help of her teleport.
That was so rough. I don't even think we were able to see Jet's head turn fast enough to catch Zoe, and then just doing kind of what we're getting used to, like the Jets and the Chambers doing, and just being able to teleport away. And Kaya, I mean, also able to just kind of make that little drop out and, I mean, fall to safety. Yuja does do a little bit of a trade and a fall, but Kaya picks up a second kill, and Junifor to finish that one off. And I mean, it just felt like they wanted to retake from Garage, but just got completely beat by the defensive side in that area.
At the same time, it was also a save round for them, so economics-wise, they didn't have a lot to work off of, and it also, they got so distracted by what was happening in Garage because there were just so many defenders funneling through that window that Seder was literally just able to walk onto the site, sit on top of the spike, and defuse it without any contest. She was just sitting there. She hopped off after she got it halved and thought, maybe I should help my team, but no, they had it, and now they have so many ultimates at their disposal as well. Even though their retakes have already been so strong, now they have the lockdown to work with as well, and this team doesn't really have much they can do against it. Maybe the breach aftershock will be able to destroy a lockdown through a wall, but if that's down, then they don't have much utility, that they just kind of have to back off.
Seder taking this moment to gather the high ground. Junifor actually able to catch Lana on this initial lurk, trying to get information through Garage. Does fall there, so that's going to be an unfortunate loss, but a lot of the abilities that Sky brings to the table are being able to be picked up by something like this breach for the side of Randos as well. That aftershock going to deal a little bit of concussion to K here, but they're able to hold in this smoke nonetheless. Unfortunately, Junifor getting caught unaware. That drop potentially gave a little bit of a sound cue to Ibanez, and then was able to pick that one up very quickly and swiftly, and now is going to be the one to hold this garage area. Unfortunately, this lockdown will kind of force the attackers to move back towards this long side, and I don't know about you, but this bomb looks like it's in an interesting and potentially strange place for a retake if you're all holding this long area, trying to move back into the garage as quickly as possible, but it's just going to be so much more difficult to get there with these smokes, with the way that this bomb is planted. Belle getting aggressive through the garage, but does fall to Kaya, and oh my gosh, the peeks around the corner through these smokes, and finally Shaka is able to finish it off very nicely, converting that one to a third win for the side of Randos.
I mean, Ibanez, that was a really brave push through the molly in Garage, and when that molly missed the incendiary from the attacking Brimstone, it looked like it was a little bit dire because they were smoked out by the Sky smokes, and we know that this team is really trust one another. You can kind of see it by the way that they just hold down the spikes when their teammates are alive. They don't get off if they see someone peek them. They just kind of sit there and wait to see if someone's able to kill them. But now the Bladestorm being popped by the attacking Jet, K is on the offensive, but they're going Very aggressive in grass once again. Spike still postured a little bit further back, but it's looking like they want to hit the B site.
Yeah, Kay throwing some little classic shots towards that place where we've typically seen that alarm bot from Kaya on this Killjoy. It's not there this time around, but I mean, at least being able to clear that area out has got to be feeling pretty good, and as well as just being able to get away safely as the rest of the team are kind of just skirting around both of these areas, trying to make sure that they aren't giving any information away, maybe trying to make people think that they're going to one site when they're actually trying to go and hit this C site with 50 seconds counting down on this clock. The stim beacon does come out. The dash is from Kay, hiding in that cloud burst, popping out, takes a little bit of damage there, but it's actually Kaya to fall first, and now Kay forced to go back and kind of watch this flank while the rest of the team trying to get for this bomb to plant, but the defensive side orbital strike will stop their onslaught for just a moment as Ibanez is going to go and try to go for this bomb plant, but once again is stopped by the Hunter's Fury. Will we ever be able to get this bomb down, or will we just be met with so many ultimates? And also Lana being able to make some nice shots. But speaking of nice shots, Yuja also getting a nice double kill there, and now kind of jousting against Ibanez here. The aftershock's gonna come out, and that's gonna be enough for Bell to finish off that final kill.
Good call from this team. This time they're kind of getting their act together. Their mid rounds aren't falling apart as much, and now defenders realizing that they're sort of falling apart on the retakes, because in the last round we saw the seaside take and they were trying to stop this spike plant with as much utility as they could. They invested a lot of ultimates into that last round, both the orbital strike and the Hunter's Fury, but at the same time, even though the spike hadn't gone down yet, Satyr was already into the site, and she was isolated from the rest of her teammates because the attacking sky smokes had been placed in defender spawn and garage. So she was the only one on the site, while the rest of her team was just sitting safely behind and kind of spamming utility, throwing mollies and whatnot at the site. So when your first point, the point of the spear, which is Satyr, when she falls, then the rest of the team don't really have much initiation utility left. They have the Yoru, but we haven't seen the Yoru make much of an impact on the server just yet, and he doesn't really have the same kind of forward aggressive power that an agent like Jett does. And even then, their initiator, Sova, that still isn't as powerful when it comes to the amount of aggression you can bring on different initiators, Sky, Breach, even KO. So Sova is really one of the agents that you really need your team to sit back, wait for him to start the initiation, and then go in.
Yeah, and I also think it's interesting that we're not seeing a little bit more lurk from this Yoru as well. I think that's where you kind of actually pick this up, is it's a duelist that wants to be lurking and kind of dragging a lot of attention to different sides of the map, as we see Kay maybe aiming a little bit too low in that smoke, does immediately get punished by Yuja, but Shaka thankfully there for that trade out. Kaya similarly able to get a kill onto Bell, but even as once again to even the score up to a 3v3 situation. Satyr from the long angle, all the defensive players from this long angle completely swapping sides of the map, but the attackers are able to get that bomb down, and it is starting to tick down as Satyr waiting for the Sova to be on the case as well, waiting for Zoe to go around this corner. Not going to throw any blinds out, instead going to take a few tags from Ibanez and getting very low on HP there as Satyr finally tries to get onto site, is able to get that cloud burst into heaven to block some of that damage, but the damage is actually already done as Zoe fell, and so does the rest of Tactical Throwers.
Now these retakes are getting a lot messier. Before I said they weren't going for the risky flanks, they weren't risking getting isolated, but now it seems like they're not waiting for each other as much as they were right at the beginning of this map. And it's these plays that are kind of losing them rounds here. And I really want to see this Yoru to make some impact. They have the dimensional drift available on Zoe, so she can potentially gather a lot of information very early, but she just needs to make the correct gamble. But you also see these two duelists playing on the same site, and the Sova is isolated on A, so this is a rough start to the round already. Trailblazer taken out by Junifor. She's trying to back out, but she's pinched on the site right now, and she's got no choice. She goes down with the ship. Bell takes her down with the tour de force.
I mean, very nice start for this attacking side, being able to take out that Sova. A lot of information that would normally be able to allow for a retake is going to be completely gone. And A site is one of these harder sites to retake for the defensive side because of these angles. But I mean, thankfully, Sater able to gather a little bit of information there and take one out as well. Yuja, nice to follow up, but does get traded out there by Kay, who was just doing the best to hold it down. Thankfully, Kaya, though, able to do that as well. Rolling Thunder yet again. I feel like this Rolling Thunder and this Orbital Strike are just ready every single round and utilized so well by Ibanez and by Shaka here as they're just waiting to utilize this. There we go. The call is made. The strike goes down. The bomb is ticking so fast, and sure, Kaya can go ahead and use that lockdown, but it's not going to be enough, and we're at an even half.
6-6 really not bad for the defending side, but they just could not get a single round on the board after Randos started finding their stride. Tactical throwers now switching over to the attacking side, and like we mentioned before, even though they do have those double duelists, they just don't have as much aggression. They need to wait for the Sova to find information with the drone, with the recon, clear out those angles slowly and methodically. It's a really clinical team comp that they have here, because both the KJ and the Sova and the Brimstone, Brim less so, because Brim is one of the easiest agents to master. He's got the sky smokes. It's a very bursty playstyle, but for the rest of the team, they really need to wait on that info.
Speaking of waiting for info, that guiding light from the defensive side does mark the start of this round. Not going to gather any audio cues from that, though, as none of the attackers are hanging out towards that area of the map. And as per usual, we do see Sater and Zoe just doing what duelists do best, getting onto the site and getting an initial 3 kills. Absolutely huge for these attackers. And now only 2 members of the defense remain, but this bomb is not going down. There we go. Junifor is going to be able to get it down, and Lana hanging out towards the CT side, but will be going for this little bit of a heal onto K before they decide to dedicate themselves onto side. Lana's able to pick up 1, but it will be the 4K from Sater to finish this first attacking side round up for tactical throwers.
And I think Sater is really thriving on this half, because we saw she was usually the first one in on the retake, sometimes to a fault where she was isolated from the rest of her team, but now switching over to the attacking side, going in, and especially now that she can have Zoe right by her side, aggressing onto those sites with her, because Yoru can't do that on the attack with the help of those flashes, then now she's in a lot more comfortable position. The rest of the team, even though it is a more defensive-sided comp, they're able to follow on through. The only reason there was a delay in the spike plant before was because Shaka was able to put down the incendiary, the molly, and just delay out a little bit longer and wait for the rotation. But at the point, they were at such a large disadvantage in terms of player numbers that it didn't matter much. But now it's on to the A side. They sent the clone down, the decoy down short, but it doesn't matter much. They have the weapon advantage here, and they're really just able to take down every single player on their way up.
Yeah, once again, this site is just such a great one for them to hit. Ibanez, though, gets a shorty kill.
No way.
Shaka also to pick up a shorty kill. I mean, what a great way to play into those smokes with that choice of weaponry. I mean, 150 credits, but doing absolute work here. But, I mean, so is Zoe, just being able to swing that gun around and get some kills as well. Shaka, though, last one remaining, but HP bars low for everyone involved. Peeks out of that corner, bets another shorty kill. I don't even know how you get a shorty kill from that range, but I guess HP bars were low, looking in the wrong place. Unfortunately, Shaka will not be able to find Kaya, who's actually hanging out towards that short side, and picks up the second round. A valiant effort and a lot of damage done from Randos despite losing that round.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Now they have to stick to these upgraded pistols. Kaya, the only one who was holding on to the Spectre here. So this is going to be a lot rougher of a third round than you're used to. So the bonus is really scuffed on the side of tactical throwers, and on the other side, Randos, they've just got full rifles and a ton of money here. Lana, the only one who can't buy full shields, but yet she is going to be playing on the A site along with that jet. So they're going aggressive, but they have nothing here for the counter info. The guiding light goes out. It doesn't connect. They know there's no one A lobby, and now it's a rotation and a flank from K.
Okay, getting really aggressive, but also kind of immediately saying, got a little bit, so I'm gonna move back, get a little bit of heals from this guy, and move right back to the rest of the squad on this defensive side. They do have this little bit of an advantage as far as guns are concerned, so they're just gonna go ahead and keep playing back, try to gather a little bit of information, and just wait for the attacking side to kind of fall into their hands. But speaking of falling into hands, Satyr, the one to actually be aggressive because of this Blade Storm that can be utilized here, is going to peek around some of these corners with a classic, but pull out the Aftershock from Ibanez and forced back once again to join the rest of the squad, as we're also going to see Kay go ahead and get aggressive. Coming out of this A site and go for a lurk will be met by Kaya on this Killjoy and will fall as a result of it. That Spectre being held from that previous round doing a ton of work, as Shaka is also going to be able to throw that Molly towards Garage, and since all the attackers are towards Garage, that will do quite a bit of damage here. And Shaka also able to pick one up as well, trying to even the score just a little bit. 3-4 situation right now for the attackers, as Junifor is getting this bomb down, not able to shoot that Molly out as quickly as you might like from that Killjoy, even as though also able to pick up another kill onto Junifor on that way out of sight. And the Aftershock actually gonna make sure that Zoe just has to sit there, but will also fall to Ibanez, picking up that second kill of this round. Kaya waiting for people to peek out of the smokes, trying to spray through that smoke, but it won't be enough. The defuse will be good, and Kaya picks up 3, but Shaka finishes Kaya off.
Kaya did so much damage to Ibanez there, though, and she almost got her off the defuse. So it really was just a matter of one more shot spammed at that spike plant spot, but she was able to pick up 3. A little bit of damage done. They have to reinvest in the rifles. We see that Belle has gotten herself a Guardian instead. And on the bonus this time, tactical throwers have given themselves full rifles. Unfortunately, though, Satyr using that Blade Storm in the last round didn't seem like the right call here, because now she's once again 7 points from the ultimate. But Zoe, on the other hand, our other more forgotten duelist, she is 6 out of 7 on the Dimensional Drift, but Belle, she gets the first blood, taking down Satyr.
I mean, just a nice peek out from this chamber. You have to kind of expect for those aggressive peeks coming out from that character that can rendezvous away. I mean, Belle didn't even need to in that situation. Was just like, I'll peek around, grab this kill, walk right back. Don't need to worry about rendezvousing out of that situation. So still has it available, so you've still got to be very wary of that area of the map. And it looks like as a result of that knowledge, they are choosing to do that. The Dimensional Drift is out. The flash did come as well, and it allows for Kay to fall. Lana, though, trying to trade back, trying to keep this defensive side in it, is reloading in this A sewer side. The Trailblazer does come out, but it's all giving away the location of Lana. Thankfully, the jump coming out from Junifor while being blinded doesn't allow for any favors as far as getting hit, but I mean, Zoe actually being able to shoot through those cabbages to hit Lana as well. Final player remaining on this attacking side for tactical throwers, and 46 HP does mean that you're kind of this Yoru against the world, so we'll see what Zoe can pull out of her back pocket.
Saw her use the Dimensional Drift earlier, and unfortunately she just didn't clear out short, which allowed Lana to get a really nice pick. But now she's making a lot of noise, and Shaka, just a peek through in the wall bang, that's going to take down Zoe. And it's just an unfortunate round coming out from tactical throwers in a round that was supposed to be their bye. Now they're relegated to the sheriffs and the upgraded pistols once again. They're not really too close to the ultimates. They've got 6 out of 7 on the lockdown, 7 out of 8 on the Hunter's Fury. But it's once again, we've seen them invest the Blade Storm in a round that was a save for their team, and it just did not work out well for them. And they should really be trying to use these ultimates to cover up more of their weaknesses rather than thinking that it'll give them a huge advantage into the round. The Blade Storm can do that, but it was just misinvested.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen tactical throwers kind of be the team to get a little bit thrown off guard at some points too. When they lose somebody really early on, I feel like they just stop realizing how to play off of one another, and sometimes I think it's certainly something that Randos has been able to capitalize on very nicely. But so far, so good. 5v5, everyone on the map. This owl drone coming up from the attacking side to try and gather a little bit of information. I don't know if it spotted Kay up on top of this box. Is Kay jousting around this corner?
Oh.
Satyr does pick off Lana, and I mean, the distraction also just allows for Judofor to pick up that kill onto Kay. So very beautifully done from this attacking side, not allowing those two members of the defensive side to get any amount of extra information. And now the bomb is down and ticking, and the defensive side has to figure out how they're going to get themselves back onto this site and get something to happen, but it's going to be that much more difficult with this lockdown coming out. Bell does have the tour de force, but I mean, if you're just able to get that many kills with a Vandal, it might be okay. Satyr, though, to claim that one back with that Sheriff, even as the only player remaining for this defensive side, and is gonna try and thinking about going into a 1v3 situation, but is blocked off by that Killjoy Molly and is just gonna be forced to save into this next round.
Yeah, just not the best situation for Randos, but at least they were able to get a thrifty out of that. It was really nicely done from Tactical Throwers. Satyr, the entry onto the site, taking down one defender in short, and then the distraction was enough for Junifer to secure a kill from Sewers, and that gives them the A side. And then even though they was at a huge disadvantage at that point, taking down those two players, 2 free guns on the site, and they've put down the attacking Killjoy lockdown as well in order to just lengthen that advantage. Fighting inside it is always really risky, and the only one who can really succeed in doing that is Reyna with a well-timed dismiss, and seeing as she's not on the board at all, that was a really nice round from Tactical Throwers. But now Belle taking out the tour de force, but she's got to be misplaced by this recon drone, and they're already on the site. Belle being taken down without a single kill.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. I mean, we saw the rendezvous go down and, like, thinking of trying to get out of that situation, but it's so hard if you hear everyone closing in around you. You want to be able to pick up a kill before going down, and just wasn't able to make that connection. And Kaya now gets to watch this short angle, knows information about one, and alongside Junifor is able to pick up 2 of those kills once again, even as the only player remaining. And I don't know if this sword, pretty as it may be, is going to be enough for a 1v4 situation.
Maybe she's going to be able to pick up some exits, though. She's in a good position, just silently making her way up to window. If she can secure a really good kill here, but they don't want to overextend. Kaya, possibly the first point of contact. She is taken down, but Zoe, quick refrag here. But at least Ibanez gets that Rolling Thunder off after that kill. So they have an ultimate ready for this next round, which is potentially their rifle round.
Now it looks like we're going to be seeing pretty even buys all across the board. Kay going to be looking a little rough as far as picking up some light armor, and it looks like Lana will have to do the same thing for this defensive side. So that's going to be a little bit of a setback, but all things considered, once you're on that defensive side, having those lighter armors is not as bad. You get to hold the angles, and it makes up for having less armor to your name. This attacking side smoke, okay, gonna make it that much more difficult, but allows them to get onto site, followed by that cloud burst. And I mean, I like the defensive side decision to just go for this complete runaround here.
Oh, this is a huge flank. They take out the turret, so they definitely know there's presence, but they can't really slow them down, so they just kind of are forced to wait, and the alarm bot actually does activate, but they escape the vulnerability status in case she's able to find 2. Nice pick. Kaya and Satyr, though, they're ringing back. Ibanez is trying to find 1, but they have no control over the site. Lana, she needs the 1v2. Here's he able to find the first. She turns away at the wrong time, and Junifor is going to secure an 11th round.
What a crazy one at that. I mean, you could tell that every single time they got 1 kill on that C-long kind of pocket, they were like, okay, there's no way that there's another member of the attacking side here. And then somebody else would peek out and be like, oh, just kidding, I'm here to trade out. And the fact that there were 4 of them hanging in that C-long area, the defenders just like, they were like, no way you kept everyone here. And you could tell every time they turned to go and like do something else, we saw Lana get that kill and was like, cool, no way that there's 2 people here. And then that turn away was kind of the downfall of that situation, and really a big reason that we're seeing this big leap in rounds from the side of Tactical Throwers.
Bell, she's taken another aggressive position. She just has to rendezvous out, though. Just one hit on her, and she's gone from that site. But there's still 3 players on A, so this is a really tough place. They're actually able to escape from the trademark, but Ibn has a nice spam down through the Cloudburst is going to take down and Junifor is going to find 2.
Oh no.
Kaya, though, she's able to find 1. Ibn is still fighting. She's sitting inside that volley, but she's able to avoid it. It's a 3K for her, Becky.
I mean, the bomb isn't even down yet. Ibanez has just been able to sit in this corner and collect kills. We saw the orbital strike come down, but it missed that small corner that Ibanez was hiding in, and now, like, Ibanez has just been able to kind of wreak havoc on this situation. Kaya being blinded by Lana does allow for Randos to get themselves a point closer to closing this gap.
They've kept it very, very close, especially on the defensive side of Haven ending that 6-6. It's a little bit rough to be at a deficit when you are on the side that the map favors. But now they've got their full guns. Belle, she's got to stick to a judge, but let's take a look at where she's playing. It seems like she wants to play in a sewers, so it's not the worst corner for her to be playing with the shotgun. And on the other side, though, they have 3 ultimates available, and I fully expect that the lockdown is going to come into play to come clear this out. Dimensional Drift already on the board, and she's just randomly throwing out some flashes, but the Seekers, they're going to try to counter.
I mean, they're able to gather a lot of information, completely sussing out all of the attacking side. And I mean, kind of the upside to this, Yoru got to cause a huge conundrum towards the C site and then just get out for free. I mean, a lot of utility was wasted, but a lot of utility was wasted on both sides. And now the attackers kind of get to move back. Satyr still as one of the players with a lot of utility still to go. Junifor having this Hunter's Fury as well does mean that they're kind of able to bait out a lot of the utility from the defensive side and now decide, based on what utility we saw get used and now seeing this aftershock get used as well, where do we want to hit? What's going to be the best site for the attackers to take in this situation with that utility that's gone down?
It basically expended all of Yori's utility. They still have that lockdown. Lana still trying to peek this long angle. She's going to know as soon as there's someone there, and she sees that entire squad running up. They just need to clear out this garage angle. Satyr finds one, but it's a trade back and forth on both sides, and the Lana, she's forced to retreat, but they've still taken down quite a few players here, Becky.
Oh yeah, in a 3v3 situation, but that bomb able to go down just barely before getting tagged.
Wait,
whoa. Okay, Zoe just got so aggressive and so rewarded for it, despite running into that aftershock, just saying, you know what, doesn't matter, I'm able to hit the shots anyway. If I only have a 1 shot per second, but I'm able to make them headshots, I can take out 3 people at once, so, I mean... maybe we're a little bit dubious of the Yoru pick, but maybe it's not so much the Yoru pick as it is just Zoe being gutsy and getting paid off for it.
I mean, that was definitely, I think a lot of the time with agents like Chamber and Jet, and sometimes even Reyna, you see them trying to get just 1 pick and running, but Yoru, the gate crash takes a lot longer to activate, so you see him stick around for a lot longer. Nice recon drone to take out that long defender, though. Satyr claiming first blood as she heads onto the A site. She definitely spots out Zoe as well, and takes down Ibanez there.
I mean, Kaya is able to get 1 kill, make it 2 kills, and all of a sudden, in match point, Shaka, the only one remaining, has this, the Sheriff, but the Sheriff's good enough to pick up that kill onto Satyr, who's trying to hop through that smoke, but a lot of stuff to work through for Shaka, who's in a 1v4 situation, so certainly possible, but certainly going to be an uphill battle for this little Brimmy, who's trying to peek around the corners, pick off 1v1s, but it's just not going to be enough. The Hunter's Fury was coming out just in case it was possibly needed, but it will be Tactical Throwers to take this first one home.
Well, it was Tactical Throwers map pick, so it's only right that they do win on the map that they feel the most comfortable on here, and it was still very closely competitive, even as she took a lot of space for her team, especially only on the breach, but Satyr on the other side, she was doing the exact same thing, and I think her team was backing her up a lot more in that case, because they were just a lot closer behind when, even as, especially on the defensive side, you get a lot more isolated here. So now we are headed to the next map, which is going to be Bind. And Bind is a very different map from Haven, Becky.
Oh, I'm so excited for Bind. I mean, so in that last game, we did kind of see Ibanez get to do like some insane things, as well as Kay, kind of maybe not maybe fitting into those shoes of Jet as comfortably as you would maybe like to see. So Bind is kind of like a complete 180 from Haven. It's also a very long map, but it has a lot of kind of tricky situations to it. It's like a lot more defensively sided, but it also has a lot of different agent picks that can come into play as well. So I'm excited to see what that means for randos and how they're able to maybe utilize some very different agent picks to work in their favor.
Yeah, I definitely think maybe we see this Yoru again because Yoru, we didn't see a lot of like
Please.
play that really centered around Yoru's actual kit, but just like the actual gunplay from Zoe here. But before we get into that, we are going to throw to a very quick break and we will be back with map 2 on Bind Tactical Throwers 1-0.
Cause I've been hurt like this, but never thought that I would fight for you this much. You know I and tonight I'm not the one to be blamed. Cause I ain't the one who hesitates. Yeah, already know about your stupid games. Come around, come around. If you come around just to play me,